I never really got Halloween. Well, where I'm from in Australia, it's just another American import focused on consumerism and with none of the soul that seems to permeate it in the States. Right now, it's just an excuse for children to dress up in disguises, start a massive extortion ring, and rob you of all your chocolate, like the tiny little criminals they are. Of course, it doesn't help that right now it's spring, and it's still bright at 7 o'clock at night. So it doesn't really have the same spooky atmosphere. But regardless of all this, the event always fascinated me. Its symbols and iconography are legendary and still pervade throughout popular culture to this day. And none, of course, is more famous than this: the jack-o'-lantern. Now used by artists to flex on us normal folks, these orange lamps have a long and varied history, with many stories pertaining to their origin. The most commonly associated of these is the legend of Stingy Jack. Stingy Jack was a notorious drunkard, liar, and scoundrel based in Ireland sometime in the Middle Ages. He had built up quite a reputation for himself, so much so that the devil heard of this Jack and wanted to see whether he lived up to it. When Jack saw the devil, he knew his end had come, and he requested a final drink at a nearby tavern. Satan agreed, letting Jack drink as much as he wanted. When he drank his fill, Jack asked Satan to cover the tab. Somewhat impressed at the gall of this, Satan transformed into a silver coin, which Jack promptly placed in his pocket next to a crucifix. Trapping Satan in the coin form, Jack coerced a deal out of him. In return for freeing him, Satan would let Jack live another 10 years. 10 years to the minute, Satan came for Jack once again. This time, Jack asked Satan to fetch him fruit from the top of a nearby tree. The devil, Prince of Darkness and Father of Lies, saw absolutely nothing that could go wrong with this and went to do so. Like last time, Jack trapped Satan by nailing a crucifix into the tree. This time, Jack demanded that his soul never go to hell. Satan agreed, and Jack walked free once more. Eventually, however, Jack died. His soul began to enter heaven, but was stopped at the gates of St. Peter. After all, such a sinful soul could never be let into heaven. So, Jack went down to the gates of hell instead, and begged to be let in. Satan, gleeful at this punishment, upheld his end of the bargain and cast Jack out, cursing him to wander for eternity. He gave Jack only an ember from hell ever burning to light his way, which Jack placed in a hollowed out turnip. Now he wanders for all eternity in the world between, serving as a warning to those who would dupe the devil. Now all this has the makings of a great Halloween tale, right? You've got trickiness, spookiness, and even a moral at the end. And the Irish were the ones to make the first jack-o'-lanterns, carving theirs out of turnips before they immigrated to America and started using pumpkins instead. Also, the name makes sense, right? Jack of the Lantern shortened to jack-o'-lantern. But here's the thing. This could all be made up. I've searched everywhere and I couldn't find a single academic source that has this tale on it. Instead, all I found were websites, endlessly looping back on each other. And as we all know, you can't believe everything you see on the internet. So if the tale of Stingy Jack isn't the origin of jack-o'-lanterns, then what is? Well, that brings me to Will o' the Wisps. No, not that, although it's a great game and you should definitely play it. I'm talking about Ignis Fatuus, also known as Foolish Fire. It's found throughout several cultures in the world, but we all commonly know it as Will o' the Wisps. These glowing lights have captured human imagination for centuries, and each culture has come up with its own legends surrounding them. Catherine Briggs, a folklore expert, has recorded the most common of these in her book A Dictionary of Fairies, which I highly recommend you read. William or Jack, the name changes depending on the legend, dies, and is given a second chance by St. Peter to try and live a good life, which he squanders. He is barred from heaven and hell as a punishment, and given only an ember to warm himself. Will uses this ember to lure curious people to their death, in bogland marshes. In another variant, the blacksmith tricks the devil into a metal purse, which he then hammers shut, forcing the devil to give him entry into heaven. Some believe that this will-o'-the-wisp is in fact a fairy. In 1899, D.E. Jenkins published Beth Gellert, its Facts, Fairies and Folklore, a collection of folk tales based on the works of William Jones, who was born in the Welsh town in 1829. The fairy Lantern Jack tricked travellers alone on the road, first appearing as a small speck of fire, which moved until it got the unlucky person's attention. Then it would glow in brightness until the traveller was completely blinded, having to trust Lantern Jack to lead them wherever he wanted. No one has ever clearly seen the fairy, only his lantern, and heard him splitting his sides with laughter whenever he successfully tricks someone. As you can see, the tale of Stingy Jack that we commonly accept has evolved from the more traditional myths and legends of the will-o'-the-wisp. Will the blacksmith tricked the devil and was barred from heaven and hell, whereas Lantern Jack lends a more light-spirited feel and the name to this Halloween staple. People first began carving the jack-o'-lantern we know and love to scare away evil spirits, or Stingy Jack. Originally made of turnips and beets, when they immigrated to America they switched to pumpkins, thus finally creating the ones that we know and cherish to this day. Hi, thanks for watching my video. It's my first one, so I hope it wasn't too rough on you. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more, and leave a comment below if you want to see me cover anything else that you might be interested in. Thanks.